Everybody that doesn't know, my name is Rick Long. I was trying to figure out this morning how long I have been playing a mountain dulcimer. I bought my first one in 1977 from, well, now his name's out of my head. He's in Townsend. Before Mike Clemmer.
Samuel?
No, before him. No. Sam, what's his last name? Carroll. Sam Carroll. And, I went to a craft fair there at Auger Knob. And they did that at that time. But he had his little shop set up in one of the buildings there. I went in there and there was a dulcimer. I knew what a dulcimer was, but I had never really looked at one. His wife was standing there. She said, "Have you ever seen one of these?" I said, "Well, yeah." She said, "Well, what about playing one?" She said, "Let me show you how it's played." And this was her picking style, since what we're talking about are picks. And by the way, how many of you use a pick to play? Everybody. There's other ways. I see videos of people using just their fingers, just the pads of their fingers. It's nice and quiet and really good sound online. There are bowed dulcimers, but the majority of us use a flat pick to play, all different shapes and styles. And that's one thing that we want to talk about today, and I want everybody to kind of share, if you don't care, what you use and what you like about the pick that you play, and do you do anything extra to yours. I modify mine some so that I can hang on to it. See that when you're 70 years old, your fingers start going south sometimes and start getting a little crooked. So, her picking pattern, I call it a picking pattern. She played "Tis So Sweet," but she just played the melody and the bass just back and forth. I don't know if she ever touched the middle string. I guess she has. So she just kind of, just very simple, but that was enough to sell me a dulcimer. I went home with one. He didn't have one completely finished. He had to rub out the finish and got it ready for me, and I bought it and took it home. That was my first experience playing the dulcimer. And I haven't played solid for years, but I always had a dulcimer at certain times, and even ended up making a few. This is one that I made a few years back. Let's talk about the picks. So our pick is pretty much the only way that we have to make the sound that when we're playing. We've got to make the string vibrate, so we've got to pick the string or pluck the string or strum. And it's always a combination of all of that. And there's forward strum, backward strum. Now, I knew I'd forget things, so I made me an outline to read. So I'm going to glance at that every once in a while. I'm just going to play just a few things. I'm going to share my technique and what works best for me. One thing to remember, we're not all shaped the same. Our hands and arms longer, hands are bigger or smaller, our bodies are bigger and smaller. We sit different ways with our posture in our chairs. I see folks playing with the dulcimer straight across their lap. I prefer to have mine angled. So when I'm telling you what I do, that doesn't mean I'm trying to tell you that you should do that. But I want you to think about what you do and why, and maybe, if there's something that you might want to think about trying to help to improve, your sound. It may not help at all. You may go right back to what you're doing now and what works the best. But there's so many things to think about. So let me just play one song here. use what I call a picking pattern, you know, but it's in addition to your strumming. Here's my picking pattern. It's pretty much what I showed you that the lady did at Townsend. But I alternate the melody string when I pick out on the melody string and pick in on the bass string. I'm going to be going in on the bass string every time. But I'm alternating the middle and the index with my 2 out picks. A lot for me when, you know, the majority of the songs that I play, I can seem to fit that in there somewhere. Of course, there's the songs like Whiskey Before Breakfast or something really fast, so you got to strum on those. The pick that I use is I buy them by the dozen. It's a Fender medium pick, so it's not really stiff, but I modify it because of my arthritis so that I can grip. I was dropping my pick a lot and just slipping out of my fingers. But I use this is a silicone rubber sheet. It's 3M. I just bought a 12-inch square sheet that I got on eBay. By the way, what I showed you today, there's going to be some links on the website. They're already on there. But this is it's self-adhesive on the back. So I peel that back and I lay my pick down along the edge, and the part that I want sticking out that's going to be picking the strings, I just leave that sticking out, and then I cut around that with an X-Acto knife. So it works for me. Sometimes the little pads will come loose and I'll lose them in my case and things. But, overall, that's my favorite way to do that. So I keep plenty of picks around. Anybody ever lose their pick? What about their favorite pick? Do they ever lose their favorite pick? We had a big uproar at the campground a few weeks ago about a purple pick that somebody lost, and I finally found it. She said, "Is that pick in the tent that we jammed under?" I said, "No, it's not there, not there." The next day when I was taking it down there in the gravel. So.
When I went to leave at Dulcimer U, when I went to open my car, I glanced down and there was one laying in the parking lot. There was my pick. I kept losing them over there too.
I asked if there was a reward. I didn't get any reward. Before we start going around and I do want this to be a discussion. People talk, tell us about what you do, what your favorite pick is, the way you play. Maybe I've been watching people play. I've been watching a lot of professionals online on their videos and I see a lot of this. I'll see this kind of picking, and that doesn't feel natural to me. You know, I play a guitar, that still doesn't feel right to me. I just want it on my lap there. A friend of mine in Kentucky, Michael Bryan, some of you have seen videos of me and him playing. He doesn't use a strap at all. He puts his dulcimer straight across his lap, but he anchors his fingers on the soundboard right along the edge of the fretboard, and that's where it stays the whole time. He's like this. I don't know how he plays. The majority of what he plays like that. When I need to strum, my hand is always free. I never anchor. I was taking who taught the novice class? I think she's in here. Darlene. She was teaching that class, and she was going over showing folks how to pick, and she was talking about anchoring. And I thought, well, I don't anchor, but I know a lot of people do. Who anchors against the fretboard? You know what I'm talking about? You get your fingers hanging on the edge of the fretboard, and you kind of, so your hand is. But do you go back and forth from that to strumming? Well, my friend Mike, he never does. His fingers never leave the side of his. I don't know how he does it, but fantastic player, I think.
You rest your arm on the dulcimer anchor,
Yeah,
like
well,
so.
that's another thing. There's a lot of different ways to, what George just said about about resting your arm to anchor, and that is an anchor. That's a way to anchor. So, what about your body position? What about this arm when you're picking? Sometimes is it up in the air like this, or is your wing sticking up? That's what I call it. When I play, I relax, and that kind of anchors my arm. Is anchored right here to my side. That's kind of my anchor when I'm playing. I hardly ever move from there. There's also some little caps that'll go right across where your bridge or the strum hollow is, that fit across the top that you can rest your wrist on, like a wrist rest.
Yeah.
And I experimented with that some, and I could use that, but I found myself not using it, so I guess I've still got it, but it's at the house somewhere. Before we start going around and getting some good ideas, and these are all good ideas, but we think about anchoring, your arm position, the dulcimer position. I use a strap always. It seems to always get twisted up for some reason. Before I put it on, it's always twisted. I don't know who made it. I made that comment on one of our videos the other day. I said, this dang strap is twisted every time I try to put it
One of
on.
those kind that are
Twisted up.
User error.
It's user error.
I adjust my strap. I adjust my strap and I push it out tight against the strap. The dulcimer's tight, but I angle quite a bit. My arm is pretty big. To me, if it's straight across, and I use my thumb to fret quite a bit when I'm forming chords. Some people just use their fingers, but if I use my thumb, this arm has to come way in like this. So if I do this, it just kind of feels natural for me to just reach out there, and everything still is kind of relaxed without me having to reach or if it feels like anything's in a strain. I play the bowed psaltery, and I teach bowed psaltery players, but that's one thing I always tell them. When you're playing, if anything hurts, if anything feels like it's in a strain, you need to look for a different way to play. And usually it's with your wing up like this. That gets tired after a little while. I noticed a strumming style that I've done occasionally, and there was a comment on our YouTube channel about Cindy using so many back strums. And I like the sound of that. I like it's a good soft sound as opposed to the way I'm doing it. It doesn't really sound that much different. All these techniques. My sister, I'm gonna pick on her for just a second. I was camping last year at Frozen Head, and she said, I'm gonna come up and visit. She wanted camping with me. She lives there close by. I said, bring your dulcimer, we'll play some. So we were sitting there playing, and this is mostly for you beginners, but maybe not so much. We were playing like, Sugar Hill. We were playing Sugar Hill. And I was watching what she was doing and listening to her, and when we got through playing, I said, all right, I'm gonna give you something to think about. What she was doing was, and she thought that she was supposed to do this. I said, well, you can do that. But I gave her a few things to think about. She was strumming all of the strings all the time, for every note. So to me, it kind of was muddy sounding. I couldn't pick out the melody. I think when you're playing, especially if you're playing by yourself or in a big jam, it may not matter so much, but I think the melody needs to kind of stand out so that you hear that melody. So here's what she did. And that's okay. You know, if that's what you wanna do and that's the way you do it, that's fine. But to me, to emphasize the melody, instead of strumming all the time, you got the same movement, but you're just not touching all of the strings all the time. You're kind of missing some of the strings. The ones that went through Rudy's workshops, you know, you remember him talking about, you know, he taught the timing, strums with the timing. And then he would talk about some of the air strums. He talked about when you come back in, you weren't touching any strings. So kind of the same thing, but when I'm talking about emphasizing that melody is just play like this. Hear that melody kind of stand out? Saying don't strum and don't do, you know, one thing that was throwing her, I just remember this, on her tab, she saw all the chords and everything, and she thought that meant that she had to do a full strum. Now some of you know I don't really use tab, but I know kind of how it's written. Are there some places where there's just like a partial chord where you don't play all three strings? Is that noted some way on there? That you mute a certain string, so I don't think she caught on to that, but she knows now.
They usually have an X on it.
Her brother picked on her. Let's talk about, somebody tell me about your pick and your playing position. You kind of know what I do now, so start off, George.
I play on an angle, usually on my lap on an angle, and then tilted slightly.
He's tilted just a little bit like this for the
Right.
ones that can't
It makes
see.
it easy, so my wrist is relatively straight going onto the thing, and I'm a thumb player as well. My dulcimer is basically shaped so that it lends itself to that, because I got like a possum board on the bottom where my knee fits in really nice. My pick is a V pick, and it's heavy, and it's stiff. And that's what I like playing with. This one, you don't play on the fretboard. The thin ones to play on the fretboard, the heavy ones, you don't play on the fretboard normally. If you do, they're gonna click. I play on the front of the strum hollow. And that gives you a nice, smooth sound. If you play it on here, it gets, you get that. If you like that, that's fine, I guess, but.
Does everybody understand what he's saying there as far as, he's talking about where you play on your dulcimer, the strum hollow? I play right at the end of the strum hollow. That's pretty much where I stay. When I go up on the fretboard, and I see a lot of folks play on the fretboard, Cindy does that. I see a lot of folks play up in this area. My pick always clicks. I can hear it hitting. And it's just something that I didn't like, so I stay back here. I'll vary just a little bit. I know this is a softer sound, but I use a medium pick. I've got a thin pick that I play the little dulcimer with. I like the sound of it on it. It's a little tinny sounding, a little mandolin-like instrument. But I prefer the thin pick on that. But how many people play up on your fretboard and play up above the strum hollow? Those hands up. Quite a few of us. How many people don't know which is the best place? This goes for everything that I say and maybe what you hear. One size doesn't fit all. You've got to decide what works the best for you. The only way to do that is to sit down and play and listen to what you're use your ear. I started doing a little recording a few years back, and when you record a little digital recorder, you usually use some headphones so you hear yourself playing over the microphone, and you can really hear what's going on then, and that went a long way to making me listen to what I was doing and trying to improve and make it sound better. Who else wants to share about their pick or maybe technique or how you hold the dulcimer? Yeah.
This is something that I learned last week when we were at Dulcimer U. Was it Jeff Furman? Jeff Furman explained that I normally use a 0.6 for fast songs, especially because it's just easier, it's less drag on the strings, and so you can get a little more speed. I'm not that good, so I need it. But he was showing how if you go up to the thickness of your pick on slow songs, that it makes a prettier and louder sound. And of course, you don't have to worry about that drag on your strings. So that's something that I picked up. But I just use a Dunlop, and it's got a grippy edge on it, and I can hold on to it. And then I use a 0.7 when I'm doing the slow songs, and it does sound different. So experiment with your pick thicknesses.
Definitely. They're inexpensive.
Yeah.
I buy a dozen of these Fender picks, they're like maybe $8 for a dozen.
Yeah.
Except when you go to, I just found out recently that they're in Clinton. Who's heard of the blue chip pick? Anybody use a blue chip?
Yeah.
Do you use one?
Oh, it's all right.
And, I've used one a little bit. I never bought one, but
I don't like it on the Dulcimer,
they're,
unless it's a real slow song.
for a flat pick,
Pardon?
for the flat picks, are they $35 or
Yeah.
$40? Somewhere around there.
For
For one pick.
But
You don't wanna lose it.
I noticed that I never lose that pick. I use it on the and I use it for the mandolin, so I guard it, I'm more careful because it costs a lot,
A lot of you know Terry Pam Lewis. And I was at a jam with him back last winter, and he lost his blue chip pick and couldn't find it. He was frantic trying to find his pick, but he finally did find it. I found out they make them in the industrial park there in Clinton where I live. So I told Cindy last week or a week or two ago, I said, I'm going down there and go dumpster diving. Walk around outside the building and see if they got
Some
anything
flies.
lying around. But if you keep, with the inexpensive picks, you're welcome to try out any that I've got here. I've got quite a bit of a selection. But keep looking for the one that you like. You may already have the very favorite that you've got, or a couple of favorites, and that you'll always use to play. So, who else wants to share, Mark?
Took a class on handling from Jim Miller, and he was saying that, how we like to do the jiggy real fast, and he said that if you have your pick flat, it's hard to do that because it keeps catching on the strings. But if you turn your pick sideways and you do it that way, the rounded edge makes you go over the strings. So I'm not sure how that works on Dulcimer, but it does help on this. When you do it like this, instead of this.
So you're saying sideways, you're saying instead of this, you twist the
Yeah,
pick
instead of hitting your
sideways.
string with the flat part, you hit it with the curve.
You mean to do a tremolo?
Yeah, with your tremolo.
I never could do that. I tried that, I couldn't do it.
The rhythms don't have a.
Yeah, you got a double string, you gotta try that tremolo.
Yep.
That's a little.
I like the sound of that. What's the lady that she came to the club meeting for a while, Laura is her name.
Bonnie Carey.
Yeah, she played, when I first got to start coming back to the meeting, she was at the meetings and she played a band jammer. But that was her big thing. She played that tremolo and it stood out, and I told her one day, I said, I really like what I'm hearing that you're doing with that. But she was good with that.
I'll tell you about playing with Rick, y'all. I always liked playing with the Herdem, which is, you know, a soft and a little bit floppy pick, and it sounds really pretty when I play at home by myself. But then when I play with Rick and we make these videos and stuff, it just, I don't know, you can't even hardly hear me sometimes because his style of playing and down here in the strum hollow and with a thicker pick is just so much louder. So I have been trying to find a new pick after all these years, one that will more equally stand up to his harmony playing, you know? So one I was trying the other day was this, they call it a pointless pick. Linda's husband was making fun of it, saying it was a poker chip, but it's not, it's just big and round, and I kind of like it, you know? And Rick played with it a little bit and thought, hey, this might be okay, but I looked at it, and from what I saw online, I don't even think they make them anymore, so now it's kind of like...
It's got a little raised ring in the middle.
It
that
does.
helps you grip.
Yeah, something to hold on to. But there's no sense in making this my new favorite pick if they don't make them. I've had this for a long time, and I had used it, I think I got it at Clemmer's years ago and threw it in my drawer because I didn't like it, you know, because the Herdem just sounded so much prettier by myself. But now I have to do something else. And I am finding out just what George said, when I move to the thicker pick, it does get more clackety because I always strummed in the middle of my fretboard. So now I'm having to move down here. When I move down and I'm basically in the front of the string hollow, I'm getting a little bit of an issue because I like to anchor. Well, it's hollowed out and there's not as much room to anchor with. So I'm having to kind of change and maybe start anchoring with my pinky. It's changing everything. You know, I've been playing about 10, 11 years and now everything is just gonna be different. So I don't know. George gave me a V pick that's a little stiffer and I'm gonna try it, but finding that perfect pick is difficult. You know, and like he says, $35 is a lot of money, but I told him, I'm like, if it's the perfect pick, it's worth it. Yeah. You know, you hate to invest it to find out if it's the perfect pick, so maybe you can borrow Billy's.
Yeah, sure. If you go to Clinton, you actually take your instrument with you, and you can sit there and try out all the different sizes with your instrument.
We were wondering about that. We actually discussed that.
He said that he didn't like it on the Dulcimer. He said he
Well,
likes it
really
on the
slow
guitar.
songs is fine, or a baritone is fine on a slow song, because it's such a thick, the one I bought was a thick pick for guitar. And so, but I have a thinner one, but I think that both, I really don't like either one of them on the Dulcimer unless I'm playing a slow song.
Were you playing it on the strum hollow or were you playing it on the fretboard?
Mostly, for that pick, you want to go down on the strum hollow.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's gonna get,
Clack.
this little Herdem you can play up here anywhere you want.
Right, but it's not loud.
Not this little one, no.
Also, when I go down to the strum hollow, it's just really, for me, making it more difficult to spread out and reach. And like what we were playing the other night at the showcase, the Hallelujah had a lot of chords down here that had to be held for a long time. And it was painful. I'm having to build up new muscles. So changing the pick is really causing me some issues right now, but I need to do it.
Well,
It's all a matter of what you
get
get used to.
But we'll also put your initials on it for you. Whatever you want to
Phone
put
number.
on it. You'll put letters on it.
I have a comment, question, sort of, about the Herndon, because I went through a lot of picks before I found one I really liked, and I really liked this one, but I cut the edge off of it. But I discovered that I really care about the sound. I can't play fast, but I really want to hear a very nice sound. And I noticed that I was holding it pretty soft, and it was clicking. So I tightened up on it, and the click kind of diminished. But is that going to be bad for my fingers to hold that pick so tight? do you think, Linda? I see you nod your head.
I think that's a good way to control the sound
It sounds
and the
much
volume.
nicer. There's no
When-
click to
When
it.
I have to play loud, I pinch my fingers on it.
It just gives it took the click out. I don't like to hear that clicking sound.
But if you want to try the tremolo, like Dan was just doing, you have to hold it very lightly.
I'm very, very far away from tremolo.
Yeah, actually, I tell beginners, because beginners tend to want to hold it real tight. And, you know, to loosen it up a
That's
little
because we
bit.
lose it, it goes
Yeah,
flying.
well, the good way to make them work on loosening that up is to tell them it makes them louder, and they do not want to be loud. So that usually works.
So you're saying the opposite, loosening up makes it louder?
No,
No,
holding it
make
tight.
the
Holding it
sound.
tighter will make
Okay.
it louder.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's kind of the opposite of what you're trying to do, but yeah, it will affect the
I
volume.
wanna keep it quiet, but don't want the click in there, so.
As long as your fingers don't cramp up on you like that tight.
I'll know, right?
Yeah.
Mark, when you're strumming, do people strum, keep it flat and go across? Or do like when you're going this way, you angle it this way, when you're coming back, you angle it this way? Do you change the angle of your pick when you're strumming, or do you keep it straight?
I don't think so.
I had to look and see. I changed my angle just a little, not much. I've seen some folks, and this tends to be beginners, that's kind of exaggerated.
Yeah,
It's
you
kind of
can't-
this.
You can't really do that
And
quite
you
fast.
learn, eventually you learn to get away from that, because you don't have time to, that takes a lot of time to do that.
Yeah,
You got
we talk
to do something, you got to be efficient.
Yeah.
Be efficient.
What about gripping what about how you grip your pick? I hold between my thumb and my middle and the index finger are both behind the flat part. Of course, the pick I use, the Fender, is I think it's a number 356. It's a wider pick, it's a pretty big one. So it just fits my fingers there, and my thumb, it's just the one that I feel is good for me. Anybody grip with just the index finger and the thumb?
Mostly,
Yeah.
Mostly,
yeah.
yeah.
It might ride on this a little.
That might work. See, I'm getting ideas that I'm gonna try too. Who else just uses just the thumb and an index finger? Yeah, a lot of folks.
I think I stabilize it with more over to the point, kind of.
So you bend your index fingers around on the
Yeah.
edge of the pig?
Yeah.
I think I'm using it.
Or you said stabilize, and that's important. You gotta stabilize
So
the
that
pick
it's
when you're
not
playing.
flopping, yeah, so it's not
You're
flopping.
not flopping around, that's right.
But I've also got arthritis.
So when we're playing, and here, I'm gonna pick on my sister a little bit. She's a believer in the tab. She can play by ear. She can play piano by ear and pick out tunes and things, but she thinks she has to have that tab in front of her. Has to play note for note and do exactly, have all the fingers on the chords and play every note.
That's good.
And then when we start playing something fast, or we play a jam and everybody's playing fast, she can't keep up. Anybody experienced that you just can't keep up with some of the songs? Here's something that I do, and I'm gonna see if anybody else does this. Do you ever leave out notes and just play part of the notes? All the time. In a jam, who knows? You're the only one who really knows. It looks like you're playing all the strings. So I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. You got a comment?
No, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, you're agreeing. Good.
Or you can just play the chords.
Or the chord.
I think you really gotta use-
If you're trying to follow the tab and play the song, sometimes you just don't have time to do all that, and some of those tricky chord changes and things. So that's an idea to skip a few notes there, you don't have to play every one.
Do you strum from the wrist or you strum from the elbow?
It's a good question. I use my wrist. Now,
Oh.
who uses their whole arms or their elbow?
Don Petty.
Don Petty? Now see, that brings up, I mentioned watching the pros on their videos and kind of look at what they do and how they do it. I see a lot of, but then I'll watch the next video and it'll be.
Yeah, they're all
opposite.
different.
It'll be something different. Steven Seifert, I see him picking right at the edge of that strum hole, and I thought, well, he agrees with me. And I go to the next video and he's up here.
But he's really big about the air strum thing. You know,
all over.
1 and 2 and 3, and every one of his classes starts out 1 and 2 and 3. There's a preview, if you haven't had one.
Well, you have to get your head moving.
Well, he gets all moving. He's like all, he's just going.
I can't even remember to smile. I've got to frown to play when I play. I always have to have a frown.
You know,
I
Rick,
can't think about that too.
that's a good point you brought up, because I've been watching things that people have sent me, you know, people playing the Dulcimer, and it truly looks pitiful. I mean, everybody is looking down like they're scrubbing their clothes. You know, they never look up and smile, you know, it's just down and scrub.
That's
down
because they're
and
looking at
scrub.
the fingers all the time.
When I hear that, my comment back is always, well, we're smiling on the inside.
Oh.
Smiling here.
If you practice looking up while you're playing without looking at your fingers, you'll find out where the chords are.
Yeah,
Then you'll look up more.
that's true.
That's an automatic mistake for me when I look at it.
Yeah, well, that could be, but
Then we have to take another take.
I'm a beginner the second time around, so I went to look at some of my old instruction books. And they said goose and turkey quills or any large feather shaved thin on the bottom end, and wooden picks are popular. Or a small strip of leather. And they also have used, and I suppose this is in the old days, the celluloid from men's shirt collars for picks. And I suppose this is from the old days.
or coffee lid covers. Those plastic, they cut the tips out of them. And then they're flexible, so if you want them to be louder while you're playing and you don't want them to be flexible, you bend them around your finger a little, and that puts a curve in it so they get stiffer. That's like 40-year-old advice there.
Taking milk from the baby.
You mentioned a turkey quill, and I see that pop up occasionally. Recently, so,
Found a turkey feather in Elkmont and actually used it to play.
Till it came out.
How'd it go?
Dust all over.
That's when the
Strong, I can
purple
strong
pick
it.
was missing.
Yeah, the purple pick's it got replaced by a feather.
This morning I was reviewing a few videos and there was Bing Butch.
Big butt.
And popped up there and he had a turkey quill he was playing. So it's there's all these different ways to play. Oh, he was using a noter too. Anybody play using a noter?
Yeah, a long time ago.
I like the sound of it. I like that sound on the strings to play, so I still do that occasionally.
Another thing you can do, and you see how you're a thumb player, use your nail, and you can like put them together, and you can give it an effect.
When I play with using my thumb, I'm right at the edge of my nail there. My thumb is right there.
Oh yeah, I never worried, it grew right in there. You see this Band-Aid?
I see that.
That's what that's for.
Has anyone tried the speed pick? The speed pick that's got a curve in it?
I have.
Do you like it?
It's okay.
Yeah. So, for fast songs, I mean, it's got a curve, so it, I don't know, works. Try it.
Curve.
Looks like the heat got to it.
You can't do it.
Let it land on the dash of your car.
I think it's a little thicker than.
That's a stiffer pick too, isn't it?
That's why
It's
it's
pretty thin.
Oh, yeah?
And it's pretty flexible.
Yeah, it's stiffer than that medium.
Does
We're
it
not-
work? Sarah,
Hmm?
do you think it works for speed, fast?
Well, there's nothing about me that's fast. This pick didn't help.
Think we can find a pick like that for our whole body?
Might work.
When you start sharing things and searching Dulcimer, and especially on Facebook, there's these little ads that pop up all the time. These are Black Mountain picks. It's got a little spring on it. It's just like a thumb pick with a spring there, with the flat pick part of it is there. And I thought, well, that'd be the greatest thing. You could let go, but it just doesn't feel all right for me. So if anybody wants to try these, I think these are, the blue one is a different gauge. It's a real thin. That's a possibility. What's that?
Isn't it for picking on a banjo?
It could be. It's not just like a thumb pick that's normally used on the banjo. They're really stiff and they really hug your thumb. This is kind of, it feels loose to me on my thumb. I don't know what the solution is, but it didn't work for me. There was another pick. This guy was playing the guitar, and he said, this pick will make your normal 6-string guitar sound just like a 12-string. It's got all these little bumps on it down here. I've glued my little helpers on there on the side of it. I can't remember the name brand of it. Anyway, it might work, it doesn't work.
It might work, but
You can hear a difference. It feels kind of scrapey sound. Maybe I'm just not used to it, maybe I need to give it more of a chance, but I usually throw it down and get my finger. Mark,
What's the stuff you put on your strings?
on my strings, I use fast fret. It just, it's a lubricant for your strings. If you've seen me play much at all, you know that I like to slide. So I slide around, and this is an applicator this is an old can of it. So the whatever they put in there dried up a long time ago, but I learned just recently that you can use lemon oil, furniture polish, and drip it on there and recharge it. So when you put this on there, you definitely can, makes it slippery. Cindy used it one day and she put it down here where I said, oh, don't do that. She said, it's too late, she already had it on there. So I can't remember the results, but I think that would work against you down here.
The fast fret though builds up on the strings after a while.
I don't find that. Maybe
You have to
maybe
clean
I'll
them
wear
every
it
so
off
often.
pretty quick, but maybe the lemon oil may be something that's not.
The lemon oil's good for the wood.
White mineral oil is what it's charged with, but now it's lemon oil in mine.
But I used it one time, and it depends, if you have sweaty hands, and I do, and you can't get that stuff is the berries, it really works. I mean, I don't care what it does to the strings, I buy more strings.
Since we're doing product placement, it's something that I've tried one time. A friend of mine in Kentucky had some, and I said, well, she said, did you ever use Gorilla Snot? I said, I don't think so. She said, well, here, try some. She had this little green, it's green, little jar there, and opened it up. She said, try some. She said, just rub your finger on it just a little bit. And you really don't have to get really that visible on your fingers, but rub it between your thumb and your index finger, and then when you grip your pick, it helps you hang on to it. It's made for drummers to hold their drumstick, but it also says guitar picks on here. It says drumstick and guitar pick grip.
So which store do you walk into and ask if they've got any of that?
I went down to Guitar Center down in West Knoxville, next to Best Buy.
Yeah.
Walked right in there and went back to the drum section. There it was on the $8.95.
That was one of the links too. It's on the
Oh,
media
okay.
page, yeah.
Yeah, you can get it on Amazon, eBay.
Well, I'm glad we have an explanation for
Do
that.
you use it? Do you use it?
Do I use it? I just bought it the other day.
Okay.
So I am right now. I can't.
I know what it's on.
If I shake your hand,
Then you might use it too.
pass it around. Do my
This stuff is so hard
feel
to
it.
I'm gonna smell
The things that the stuff that I put on my picks there to make them thicker where I can grip. There's this is called Guitar Mousse, and it's sticky dots. I think I got these from Mike Clemmer.
Yeah.
I think I bought these at one of the festivals. He had some there. I thought, well, it looks like that might work. It's kind of the same thing that I do, but it's really thin. So but it gives you kind of a rubberized finish there and makes it a little bit easier to grip. I just like the feel of the thickness of that. It just feels just right. At Hobby Lobby, I was in there one day. Well, I've been buying this stuff for years. It's a self-adhesive foam. Comes in a big sheet, but I cut it into strips. I use it for things that I do with the Bode Psalteries that I make. But you could use this. Here's a pick that's got some of that on there. It's more of like a foam, like a cushion. It's real soft. This is silicone rubber, so it's really hard. But it's still a little bit of grip there that you won't slide out of your fingers so much. Still sticking up.
So when you don't want it there no more, you just wipe it on your pants? That's all.
I'm not sure about it. I'm not sure about it. No, I threw the instructions away. I don't know how to do it all. I have to marry it all. What about folks that have been playing for a long time and play a lot? It's hard to do in jams, but think about adding expression to what you play and playing from the heart and making it pretty and just, does anybody realize just exactly what you're doing when you play with expression? You play from soft to loud. It's just the pressure that I'm using on the pick there and just not strumming hard. You know, I play too loud for Cindy, to suit Cindy on the video. Oh, I play loud but I mumble when I speak, so. Tell her I'd work on that. So it's not all just, one volume, so vary your volume when you're playing. Practice doing that too, and that's all in your strumming or your playing technique. Let's see. I think it's a really good idea to watch other folks play on videos online, or you can, at the club meetings or the jams, you can sit and stare at somebody and watch what they're doing. It might make them a little nervous, but you can let them know that you're interested in what they're doing, and you might pick up some ideas on what something that would work for you. But don't be afraid of change. If you've been playing one certain way for a long time, and don't be afraid to try something new and just give it a try. It might work for you, it might not. You can always go right back to the way you were playing. I'm kind of stuck in a rut. I like what I'm doing now. So, but but you never know, like I added that back strum occasionally when I can remember to do it, I'll throw it in there. Other comments? Anybody want to share anything else about?
I used to make poverty picks. You had a AAA old piece of cards, Ivory Snow liquid bottle, and a pair of scissors.
Yeah.
I think AAA probably sounded best.
There's who was it? Les Williams. He had for a while there, he was handing out picks, and it was pieces of old credit cards. But he had there's a punch that somebody makes that you can punch them out. It's just it's about this shape of pick, of a fender pick. But he was handing them out to everybody. I think mine had MasterCard on it. This is one thing my sister has. We inherited arthritis. Her fingers are a lot more crooked than mine, so she has trouble hanging on to the picks and things. So I thought, well, it has to be something that would help out there. Has anybody seen something called a Pick Max? It's PYK Max. And I didn't put a link to it because 2 years ago they were still on Amazon. Now it says currently unavailable. So I did see one on eBay. It was $50. I think this one was around 40. But I thought, for someone that has trouble with grip and hanging on to a pick, just like the blue chip picks, that's not very much to pay if it's going to really help them. But it's like you kind of hold it like a gun, like you're going to pull your trigger finger. It sits right in there, and then the pick is attached, so it just flips over your index finger, and there's your grip. But you can't let go of it. It's there. You can't drop it.
Good idea.
So she uses it. She doesn't always use it. She's found others that she prefers, but she still had to borrow it back from her because I couldn't find one to buy.
Good idea.
If anybody wants to look at that, hopefully they'll start making those again, or making them available. There's another one I saw somewhere, a guy in California that makes them. It's a little elastic strap with Velcro that straps around your thumb that holds a pick. And I used one of those for a little while. I liked that. But the last time I ordered, I never did get my order. I got a refund. I didn't get the order, so I don't know what happened there. Anything else about picks or strumming? How do you hold your dulcimer? Anybody in here gonna do this? Sarah Morgan, well, she can. Now, watching some of Sarah's early videos, she still had all this nice fluid, quick motion, this beautiful playing, but she was holding in her lap, but now it's here. So what is it about those pros that think they have to do this? Is there something there that we need to try?
No, I think it's teaching so that people can see the fretboard.
I think that's it. I see them when they perform that way. I don't know, it just, to me, since I use my thumb, it's just not.
Some do that to get a louder sound too.
A louder sound.
See it when that muffles it, you put it up like.
Oh, yeah, that's right, screw that.
Unless you put a possible board on it.
Yeah, Ben mentioned that with it laying on your lap, that it does quieten the dulcimer down some, muffles it down some. There's possum boards that'll attach and detach. I've got a I call it a double back on mine. I'm not convinced that is the very best way because I've made them without, and to me it sounded just as good. I think this adds a lot of weight to the dulcimer that may take away some of the vibration just because you did that, even though it helps with the muffled sound from your
With
lap.
mine, they had an idea in that they raised the edge of it so that when it sits on your lap, it's just like a possum board.
Yep. Anybody else?
You were mentioning your expression and where you strum. If you want to get loud and real bright, you can come down towards the bridge.
here we want to get soft or just move down?
I've got a question. I'm watching Ben play. When he's moving from here to here, I don't hear any pick clatter. I don't hear him hitting the fretboard. Are you gripping the
Yeah,
pick so that
you
there's
make
not
sure you-
very much sticking out?
Exactly.
Okay, well, see, that's where I've been doing that wrong. So-
And that also takes the clicking out of the pick, only down there, and it keeps you from scratching on the fretboard too.
Y'all might see me playing up here for a minute.
Yeah,
I do like the sound, but that's what I do. A nice soft sound. Play a 5-string banjo. I learned to play one of those about the same time I was playing the Dulcimer. But that was a technique when you're playing and you want to play soft. You automatically go up close, really close to the frets, or even up on some of the frets there. When you want to play loud, you back up toward the bridge. So it makes it louder and brighter.
Well, I think part of what's happening, you're breaking the string into symmetric sections on the vibration. And you're getting the primary vibration and you're getting 2 octaves when you play in the middle. If you play a section, you probably get a lot more harmonics going, which give you more brilliance to the sound.
That brings to mind, who uses a harmonic? Do you know what a harmonic is?
Oh, yeah.
Play and you pick. So you've got lots of different positions that you can do this, but pretty much the main one is exactly in the middle between your nut and your bridge. If you measure that, it should be at that fret. So if you, it's a normal sound, but if you just touch the string and pick at the same time, but lift off. But there's other players like Ben's doing that. That's a technique that you might not ever use, but I've got one song that I play, and that's the very last note of the song is that. And 9 times out of 10 when I play it, I miss that.
Yeah.
I get to that last note that's supposed to sound pretty, and I mess it up. Almost every time. I like that idea about choking up on the pick a little bit more so there's not so much of the point sticking out. It helps them playing there.
And then every once in a while you hit your fingers on the string really good and it hurts.
It's, when you're doing that, are your fingertips brushing the strings? You feel your fingertips brushing?
Sometimes, just a little bit.
Mine do. I'm getting the sign that the clock on the wall says it's time to
Oh,
go.
one of those, right. If you get the V picks or any other brand, do not get a clear pick.
The what?
Get clear colorless pick, because whatever you drop on the floor, you'll never find.
That's true.
I've got some.
Very true. Okay. So he's gonna wrap up. Is there any other questions for him? Because people will have to be going to the different jams. Any other questions?
I just like to thank him, that's good.
Yes.
Thank you.